Hey, what's going on, guys? So I just woke up today, did night shift. I feel like junk. I have to get ready for another night shift. I've been working a lot. I just wanted to make a video talking a little bit about God. And I've never touched upon religion specifically in videos. Maybe I made a comment here and there. But I just want to talk about it a little bit because I share, my life with you guys, and this is a big part of my life. I've kind of rekindled my relationship with God. And, before I get into this entire conversation, I just want to say that I try my best to be respectful. And, I truly believe that anyone can believe or not believe whatever they want. The you do you policy works really, really well. I try not to criticize people. We all do it naturally. I think that's just human nature. We hear things and see things and we form opinions in our head, and sometimes we keep it to ourselves, sometimes we decide to share it, sometimes we not only share it but want to change other people's minds. I am not making this video to try to convert people. I'm not making this video to try to spread the message. I am making this video purely to share my experiences. That's what I've always done on YouTube. I tell you my experiences with a knife, my experiences with a lighter, my experiences with a fire starter, my experiences with my experiences. That's what I do. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. I posted my video on the gas prices and I said, hey, listen, just keep politics out of it. It was impossible for some of you to just not spew your opinions. It's human nature. I don't fault you for it. I'm not surprised by it. In fact, that's why I mentioned it, because I figured it's pretty much guaranteed. And I know that making a video about religion is going to be guaranteed some comments and arguing and, people, hey, this is stupid, that's wrong, this is right, that kind of stuff. That's not the point. That's not why I'm making this video. And I could just shut comments off, but honestly, I don't like doing that because I make the content, I make the video, you guys watch it, and for some people, commenting back, that is their experience on YouTube. That's what they want to do. That is what they enjoy. They enjoy seeing something, hearing something, and then giving their opinion, their experiences. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if I like it or not. It doesn't matter if I agree with it or not. So I'm going to allow the comments. If someone gets a little out of hand or whatever, maybe I'll delete the comment. But for the most part, talk amongst yourselves. I really don't care. I don't really care about other people's opinions on this subject. The opinions that matter the most to me are my own, my wife's opinions, my family members' opinions. Those matter to me the most. Now, a lot of you guys are my friends, and I'm not saying I don't care about your opinion. I do. But I definitely value certain people's opinions over others based on our relationship together. Does that make sense? So, now that I've kind of gotten that, warning, I suppose, out of the way, I'm just going to keep this kind of light. I'm not getting deep into things. I'm just going to tell you my experience in my entire life with religion and God and what I've learned and maybe didn't learn, right? So I was born Christian. My parents were very young when I was born. I was a mistake, a happy accident, as Bob Ross would say, right? And even though they were very young, they decided, we're pregnant together and we're going to keep the baby and we're going to raise it and have a family. And it was very positive. It was wonderful. And hey, I'm glad they did. But, it was a struggle for them, being young and learning things for the first time. I mean, they were growing up while they were trying to raise someone else growing up. You know what I mean? It's very difficult. But, my parents believed in God. They both came from, well, I should say my mom came from a family that was a little bit more religious than my father. But we were Christian. And we went to church. And we were Methodist. And church to me was boring, like for most kids. It's just, you're like, oh, I got to get up early on a Sunday and put on like a nice outfit and go listen to some guy on like a hardwood bench, and so when you're a kid, at least for me anyway, it was not an enjoyable experience. It was definitely like eating your vegetables or like doing chores. It was like, sometimes you complain while you're doing it, which obviously is not the point. You're not supposed to be at church complaining to be there. But your kids, you don't care. You don't get it. Now, some kids do. I shouldn't say you don't get it, because some children maybe understand better. But from my experience, it sucked. It really did. I didn't want to go to church. Went to church. It was boring. Didn't really understand what was going on. Learned the basics, not really the whole story of God or anything like that. I didn't really care, So I want to say I was probably... And by the way, when I was at church, we had like our basically daycare, you know what I mean? They go and the parents and all the adults go to mass, and then like maybe the older siblings go to mass, but then the younger ones, like me at the time, I didn't have siblings yet. My sister, I'm 9 years older than her, so at this point I don't have any siblings, it's just me. And I went to like, it wasn't really like, I mean, you learn basic stuff, like the kids' version of the Bible and stuff, right? But I never paid attention. So fast forward, I'm like maybe 11 or 12 years old. All right then, interruption number 1. My phone went off. I had an alarm set. So anyway, fast forward, I'm like 12 years old. We just stopped going to church. Like in between like 10 and 12. I don't remember exactly. But about that age, we just stopped going to church. My dad just felt like, it's about the money, and they always talking about donations and stuff. He was really put off by that. It's like they're there to raise money, and I don't know, he didn't like it. And that was it. My dad made decisions, and my mom and us, we went with it. He was the man of the family. My mom, wanted to go to church, I believe, from my memory. But it was like, okay, well, I guess we're not doing it. So that's it. And that was it for church for me for the next, I don't know, 20-something years. So this whole time growing up, I believe in God. When people ask, hey, do you believe in God? Yes, I believe in God. I didn't know or remember much of the details. My, like as far as prayers and stuff like that go, my grandmother, when I lived with her, we lived there for a short period of time. We were in transition. My parents had, different apartments, places, and some rough areas because we were, pretty broke. And at some point we lived with my grandparents for like a year. And a year and a half, I think. Something like that. It's been a long time. But I remember my grandmother, and this is when I was, by the way, like 5 or 6, so we're still doing church stuff, but my grandmother very much, believed in God, and she would, when she put me to sleep, she would tell me Our Father. We would pray together. So that stuck with me, and my entire life I remember the Our Father prayer. But that was about it. That was everything I knew, really. I knew the very basic story, we see in the manger scene, all that, and I'm not going to get into details because I'm not here to try to teach you anything. In fact, I'm still learning myself, right? We'll get to that in a second. So that's it. So I'm just saying, at a very young age, God is real, the devil is real. I believed it, didn't know the details. So I grow up, and we don't pray before we eat. We don't pray before we go to bed, and once in a while, if someone's really, really sick, maybe we say a little prayer to God, but it was very, very just vague, and my dad was very firm in, and still is today, you don't have to go to church, to have a relationship with God. It's one-on-one, and he just didn't see a need for it. He kind of felt like the whole thing was money, right? Now this is Christianity. So fast forward again, even when I moved out on my own, I was a single guy. Yeah, believed in God, never thought about it. Really never thought about it. Again, once in a blue moon, if something was really, really bad, maybe I would pray. Then I would feel guilty about praying. I'm like, you know what? I don't go to church. I don't normally pray. And like, so why would God answer my prayers just when I in a very greedy, selfish time need them? Does that make sense? Once a year, once every 2-3 years, so I really wanted something, and so I prayed for it. It felt selfish on some level, like, yeah, well, if he was real, why would he care? I don't think about him or talk about him or anything like that. So now fast forward until I meet my wife. My wife is Catholic, grew up very, very close with her grandmother, who was extremely Catholic. Her family's Catholic, go to church. There's a wonderful Portuguese church, in Connecticut, in a city environment, very close. In fact, my mother-in-law works for the church. She has several jobs, but that's one of them. And so very close with Father, and it's a big part of their life. the whole story, praying, it's huge. And so I meet my wife, we start dating and stuff, and we never really talked about God. I mean, she asked, hey, do you believe in God? Or, are you Catholic, Christian, Jewish, what are you? And I said, oh, I'm Christian. And it wasn't really like a huge focus early on. We got married through the state. My wife wanted to get married to the church, but I wasn't Catholic. And at the time she didn't really know the process, or at least like every detail of the process of what we have to do. So early on in our marriage, we would say, yeah, eventually I'll look into, being Catholic. And if it's something that I want to do, maybe I'll convert. And at that point, we can get married in the church. So years go by, we're married, right? And again, God comes up occasionally. We'll have, conversations about it. But we never really go into depth, and she does her own thing, when she prays and stuff like that. And I obviously have no problem with it, but it's not something I'm really doing. So this past Lent and Easter, something kind of clicked, and before Lent started, something clicked in my wife's head, and she asked me again. She said, listen, is this something you want to learn about? And I really thought about it, but it seemed like a hassle. I have so much going on in my life. The job I have takes up an incredible chunk of my life. I don't have that much free time, and I try to use it, doing the YouTube thing. But I really gave it some serious thought. And I said, you know what? Yes. I said, I've been putting this off for years. I want to learn what it is to be Catholic. I want to learn Catholicism. So I started Catechism. And that took up, some of my time. I'm still going through the process right now. At this point, from what I've learned, I have decided that I want to be Catholic. So I am in the process of converting to Catholicism. And it's really enriched my life. And I love to sit here and explain a bunch of stuff, but I'm again trying to keep this kind of a light topic and stuff. Having a relationship with God for me now, it has quite literally been life-changing. My perspective and view on life has changed. What's important to me has changed dramatically. And I know a handful of you are watching this video and you're going, oh man, he's brainwashed and this and that and the other. I would just ask you guys to keep an open mind and understand that everyone has different opinions on everything in life, obviously. Some people are vegan and they tell, oh, if you eat meat, you're horrible. You may be watching this video and being, oh, Catholicism, it's just a scam and you're being brainwashed and stuff. You could think whatever you want. This is my life. I'm just telling you what's going on in my life. And I believe this is real. And in my heart and my soul, I know that God is real. I know the devil is real. And I'm learning the story. I'm learning why it's important. And I do think this story is important. For the majority of my life, I've always said I believe in God, but I didn't care about the story. I didn't. I thought there's I didn't want to get bogged down with putting a title on things, Catholic or Jewish or Hindu or whatever. I mean, there's so many different religions that believe in a God, the God, but everyone argues about the details. What's good, what's bad, what the story of God is, I always felt like there was something bigger, something big, and we put the label God on that thing, something that created everything. When you see nature and stuff, it's so intricate and beautiful, like how our bodies work it's a miracle, right? I mean, there's so many things in life that just seem like, what are the chances rocks banged together and created this? So a lot of people, I think the majority of people on the planet, the majority of humankind throughout all of human history has believed that yes, there's some kind of power that is the creator of all of this, and that is God. But again, I didn't like the friction my whole life. I didn't like the putting a title on it. It's like, okay, well, most people believe in God. Some people don't. That's fine. But I also thought, how sad is it to live a life thinking that, when you die, there's nothing? That's sad. That's sad to me, I want to believe that, you know, when we die, it's just a small, like our entire lifetime is a small portion of what it is to exist, you know what I mean? And our soul goes on to something else, you know? And, you know, what it goes on to is arguable, obviously. The biggest thing with all religions is having faith. It's having an understanding that you don't understand. Does that make sense? Like, as humans, I think it's our nature to want answers. And people who are non-believers of God are, well, you can't prove it. Well, you can't prove anything. You know, think about it. Everything you know about science and math and all stuff, it's because other strangers told you and you just believe it because society believes it. You know, why is the grass green? Chlorophyll, right, in plants. Well, okay, you just believe that. Like, did you figure that on your own? No. You were told it. So you believe it. Most of our knowledge, most of what we know, almost everything that we know is just an agreeable truth. We didn't find it out for ourselves. We didn't prove it for ourselves. Does that make sense? You look at a box of cereal and it says it's 160 calories a serving. You just believe it. You know what I mean? Did you ever look at a box of cereal and see that it's 160 calories a serving and then do your due diligence in making sure that you knew that was for sure true? And went to a laboratory and studied it and broke it down and had a full understanding of how we, you know, calculate calories and just make sure that that information is correct. No, we just assume that if everyone agrees, right, most of society agrees that that's right or that's true, then we just accept the truth. So how is religion any different, you know? Like I said, I'm not here to try to, you know, tell people to believe in God. You do whatever you want. I really don't care. But for me, that's all I'm doing right now is I'm sharing me. I believe in God. And I have a stronger relationship with God right now than I've ever had in my entire life. And for me, it's wonderful. It's a beautiful thing. It's bringing me a lot of joy, and I want to be a better person. You know what I mean? There's certain things I do, and I just want to be a better person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to get too bogged down with, like, the extreme feeling of it, because you could get that way where you go from like 0 to 100 and you're extreme about things. No, that's a sin. You can't do that. It's a sin. You're a sinner. One of the biggest things I'm learning with Catholicism is not to judge people, you know. And I know it's crazy because people think that it's all about judgment. You know, you're told this is a sin, that's a sin, this is wrong, you're wrong, you have to repent, you have to, you know, confess your sins and to be cleansed and all this stuff. And I know some people think it's all a bunch of horse crap, and that's okay. You're allowed to think whatever you want. But I'm still learning. I'm in the process. I'm taking catechism. I'm going through a course, and when I'm all done with it, I'm a little less than halfway done. And it takes a long time. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of story. There's a lot to understand. But I'm looking forward to that moment where, you know, I could finish this and completely understand the story, and I'll make a decision. Do I accept all this to be true, or do I not? And who knows, maybe I don't. I'm being very fair about it. I'm not just taking the word, you know what I mean? I'm trying to truly understand everything and come up with my own opinion of whether or not I believe it. So far I do, you know. We'll see where it goes, but it's all been positive for me, you know what I mean? It's what I feel is making me a better person, because I'm judging people less, I'm caring more about what's important in life, you know. My entire life I love stuff. I'll talk about this in maybe a separate video. But yeah, I focus very much on possessions, things, a cool car, a nice house, you know, expensive nice knife, a really cool gun, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's not a sin to enjoy stuff. But I've put a little too much focus into possessions my entire life, and wanting to be a certain place with possessions, not spiritually, you know, not emotionally. And I'm just, I'm changing, you know. Everything changes with time. It's the most true thing you will ever hear your entire life, whether you're religious or not, whether you believe in God or not. Everything changes, everything ceases to exist. It's just a matter of time, right? The American government, I live in America, I want America to succeed. Eventually America will no longer succeed. It will fail. Our government will fail, the country will fail, every country on this planet will fail, humans will die. It's just a fact. Just no one knows how long it'll take. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, for me, this entire experience has been good. You know, if at some point it becomes a negative thing, then yeah, maybe I'll change my mind again. And that's something else too. You're always allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to change your opinion. You're allowed to be something and then change and be something else. You're allowed to do that. You could do that. No one can tell you you can't, you know? Caring what other people think is not necessarily a bad thing, but the older I get, I care less and less and less about being cool or being accepted. I just don't care. And honestly, it's an amazing feeling. I'm focusing on what matters most to me in my life, my loved ones, my wife, my family, my in-laws, which are my family now. And it's been good. I'm a happier person because of it. I'm working hard. I'm still very much working on dieting and losing weight and stuff. You know, I will give you guys occasional updates on that. I'm very much pushing forward with everything that's positive. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. And I want to love God. And I want to love my wife and my family. And when I have time, of course, I want to love my friends and all my relationships with people all around the world for all these years, my entire life. There's so many wonderful, beautiful people out there. And I want to talk with them and share things with them, and I want to hear about their stories and their life and everything that's going on with them as well. There's just not enough time in the day for all of it, you know, so it's hard. You have to prioritize, you know. YouTube for me has been such a focus and a priority my entire existence on YouTube since 2008. I've just like YouTube, and you know, I want to grow and I want to share and I want to show you guys, oh, I can't wait to show everyone this on YouTube. And I love you guys, and I always will, and you've been a huge part of my life. But it's getting further down the list of priorities, you know what I mean? And it's not because of anything you did. It's not you, it's me, you know. But it's true. It's just, I know some of you guys are just so used to it, you know, and even right now, the not having daily videos is like, oh, this sucks, you know, and it does suck, you know. I watch YouTube too. There's people who I've watched, and maybe they stop making videos, they don't make them as frequently, and it makes me sad. I want to see it. I crave it. I want it. But, you know, it is what it is. And I'm just trying to focus on me. I'm trying to focus on being healthy. I'm trying to focus on my life and my wife and my family and starting a family, having children, that kind of thing, you know. I'm getting older. I'm 41 years old. Even having a kid now is still old, you know. There's a window and it's closing. I'm not going to get a whole other subject, but I would say if I'm ever going to have children with my wife, it'll probably be within the next 5 years, or it's just not going to happen. I'm just going to be too old. I just can't. She won't. I have some years on her. But yeah, I mean, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, that's it. We've been going to church for, what, 2 or 3 months now. Every week we go to church, and it feels good, you know, meeting people, and again, just praying and learning, you know. Every single day I pray the chaplet, the Divine Mercy. And it's a positive thing, you know. In the beginning, it seemed like a chore. It's like, oh, I got to do this, and I got to repeat. Like, why am I repeating this one thing? And it didn't make sense to me, you know. And as time goes on, I'm changing how I'm thinking, you know. I'm changing how I see things, and I realize that it's human nature to be me. It's human nature to be selfish, and it's all about you. I don't like this. I'm uncomfortable with that. This, that, you know. And like, you know, it's important for you to be happy, of course, and if you be happy, people think it's all about you. You know, I want this, I want that, me. And I'm learning that it's not all about me. You know, there's a bigger picture here, you know. So, it's good though, it's positive. Again, I know a lot of people will be, oh, good for you, Jeff, good for you, I'm glad you're happy. And there's always going to be, you know, a handful of people like, oh, you're stupid, and you're brainwashed, and that's dumb, and it's not true, and all. And that, you know what, you do you. You do you, and I'm going to do me. And I'm just sharing, this is me. So, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to share that with you guys. Again, I haven't talked religion because it's been controversial. And at this point in my life, I feel like, who cares? You know what I mean? Let's have a little controversy. I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to discuss it. I am not going to respond to a single comment in this video. You guys can all argue with yourselves if you want. You can speak your mind if you want. It's more than welcomed. But I'm not going to get drawn into an argument about this. okay? Because I know some people just want to argue. They want to try to convince me of something different, or, you know, even if you're trying to agree with me and all that, I'm just not going to comment. I'm sharing this with you guys. I'm going to let you all talk amongst yourselves or argue, whatever you want to do. But like I said, for me, this is a very positive, loving, wonderful thing. And I look forward to it for the rest of my life. You know, and if I change my mind in the future, I change my mind in the future. But for now, it is what it is. And like I said, every day feels like a blessing. Every day I feel like I have a different purpose in life. You know, my purpose for a long time was to make myself happy. And yeah, that's still part of life in my opinion. Yes, of course, you want to be happy. Everyone wants happiness. That's a natural human need. That's a greediness. That's okay that you want to be happy, but there's limitations on that. You know, being happy at whose expense or what expense? What are you giving up to have a happiness, and are you truly happy? You know? I'll tell you real quick what prompted this video for me to talk about this kind of stuff and share more of my life that you guys didn't know about was Iraqi veteran 8888. He made a video. I watched it today, and it was basically how, you know, he got divorced or whatever. He was going through divorce. I don't know the details. I didn't finish the video yet, but he lost a lot of what he had. He was very, very successful. You know, he did the YouTube thing. I'm friends with him in a very light, you know, we've had conversation stuff. I don't sit and talk on the phone with him. I haven't had I mean, I've met him in person a couple times, you know, trade shows and things, and he's a wonderful guy from what I understand. But you see him and the success, and he had like every cool gun possible, right? And did all this stuff and made all this money. And he is going through a major life change where he lost a lot of his possessions. But in as much as I've seen the video thus far, he's gained a different perspective on life, and he's changed what he knows, what he prioritizes as important. And having 5 million guns and huge houses and cool cars and a range and, you know, all this stuff was just stuff, you know, and now he's very focused on, you know, relationships and that kind of thing. So, you know, it really made me think, and I thought, you know what, this is what's going on in my life, and he had the bravery to share that with everyone, and it gave me a little, you know, courage to share this with you guys, even though I know I'm going to be heavily criticized for it. I thought, you know what, who cares? If you want to criticize me for this, that's okay. It's more than welcomed. But I'm sharing my reality. This is my life. And I love my wife. I love my family. I love God. And I am not ashamed or afraid to say that to the world. It's a big part of my life now. And that's pretty much it. So that's all. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, whether you have God in your life or not. I really truly hope that everyone watching this video has a nice day. I mean, I will tell you something else that made me think about this and talk about this a little bit was I had an experience at work where part of my job is being a first responder, and I usually arrive places before the police, before the ambulance, before, you know, well, there's no such thing as police. I mean, there's state police. It's a very complicated situation, but I am the police for all intent purposes. So I'm the first ones there before fire department comes for fire, before, you know, the ambulance arrives for, you know, in this case, it was a heart attack. Someone was going into cardiac arrest, and I'm there, and his wife is just losing her shit and experiencing this, you know, and this guy dying, and I don't know what happened because he was taken off an ambulance. He had no pulse. He wasn't breathing. They got his pulse back, but he still wasn't breathing. And I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to calm his wife down, and I'm taking notes and, you know, what medicines he's on, stuff like that for the paramedics. And it's just like, I don't know, when everything was all done, I was just thinking about it, and I was, you know, and I prayed for this guy. And I thought, you know, years ago I wouldn't have done that. I just, you know, it's not that I didn't care. I just wouldn't have thought to do that, you know. And I also understand too that, you know, death is part of life, and death is not a bad thing. I am not afraid to die. I'm quite curious what happens when I die, but I'm not trying to rush it either. I will tell you that I want to live the longest possible, most fruitful life that I can. But that was an intense moment. you know. Previously I went to a car fire, and the homeowner was he didn't want to leave. I'm begging him to, you got to come with us, and he had kids on the property, and the fire department came, and one of the firefighters and I went. We got the kids and we got them off the property, and we came back for the guy. We're like, dude, you got to go. And he's like, I'm gonna die here fighting this fire. I have to keep my house. And you know, it was a car fire, but it was close to the home, and the home could have lit up, and all the brushes lit, and it was intense, man. It was seriously intense. And having these experiences too in a work environment has changed. You know, I've never experienced this before in my life. You know, my work history is like janitorial stuff I've done, maintenance stuff I've done, assisted living stuff. You know, I've done postal work. I've done, you guys, you know, I talked about my jobs a lot over the years, but like I'm experiencing so many things. It's really like eye-opening, you know, but it's intense. It's really intense. Damn. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I know I'm going to just keep veering off into different subjects and topics, but all I'm saying is that this is the journey that I'm going through. We'll see where it ends. You know, I'll give you guys, you know, updates over the course of the rest of my YouTube life, you know, however long that lasts. I'll share my life with you, and this is just a big part of my life, so I wanted to share it with you guys. It takes a lot of time to go through Catechism as an adult like this, and just getting the entire picture in one giant course. You know, it's 100 plus hours or whatever it is. I don't know the total, but it's been a lot. So like I'm working, and then, you know, when I'm off of work, I'm spending some of my free time doing this. And then I still gotta, you know, make dinner and do the dishes and take out the trash, and I want to spend time with my wife and stuff. So YouTube's been on the back burner. I'm hoping, and I know that a lot of you understand, like, hey, you know, it's cool, you know, post when you can. I get that. And then a couple of you are just selfish, and that's okay, because if you know, the old me would be selfish, and I'd be like, I don't care, make content, film everything. I wish I could film at work, guys. I have so much stuff going on. You guys would love it, but I can't. I wear a chest cam. I can't sneak it. I can't get away with it. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? I have an NDA I signed for work. I'll lose my job if I share anything. So it's just one of those things that, yeah, it's intense. Like I said, I have so much footage. I'd love to show you the things I'm, you know, experiencing. I wish I can just take my chest cam and just share that as videos. You guys would love it. You would love it. I've been to house fires and medical calls and all these different things, and it's just, you know, traffic stops. You know, I get people tickets. It's part of my job. You know, hey, you're speeding. No one likes that. I've been called a lot of names so far. I have to be professional. It's you know, life can be fun, and I have to say, as tiring as it is, as exhausting as it is, physically, emotionally, and mentally, it's an experience. I'm glad I'm having it, because I want to experience as much as I can in life. You know, so. Anyway, that is all. Thank you so much for watching, guys. From the bottom of my heart, I truly love all of you. Thank you so much. I know time is everything for us. We have a limited time on this planet, in this lifetime. And for you to take a couple moments to watch my videos, it means the world to me. I'm still shocked. All these years later, like 18 years later of doing YouTube videos, that people still want to hear what I have to say. That is just cool. So thank you. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I truly mean that. I know I say a lot. Maybe it seems repetitive or routine, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope you have a wonderful life, and you can find happiness. And I'm on my journey to find more happiness. So, thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.